reports, the U.S. Justice Department is preparing to launch an antitrust investigation into Alphabet Incorporated's Google. The Wall Street Journal reports that the U.S. Justice Department is preparing to begin an antitrust investigation into Google that could see the tech giant come under a new wave of scrutiny from regulators. According to people familiar with the matter, the Antitrust Division of the Justice Department has been gathering information and preparing for the investigation for weeks. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, which shares antitrust authority with the Justice Department, has previously conducted antitrust investigations into Google on a broader scale but closed the investigation in 2013 with no action taken. Google did, however, make some voluntary changes to some of its business practices as a result of the investigation. The FTC and Justice Department have been discussing which group will oversee further antitrust investigations of Google, with the FTC agreeing to give the Justice Department full jurisdiction over Google. Now that an understanding has been reached between the two government bodies, the Justice Department is preparing to conduct an in-depth investigation into Google. It has yet to be revealed if the Justice Department has contacted Google in relation to the investigation. Those familiar with the matter stated that the Justice Department has been in contact with third-party groups that have been critical of Google in the past. The Wall Street Journal reached out to the Justice Department and Google for comment on the matter but did not receive a reply. The FTC declined to comment on the issue. Breitbart News reported in March of this year that Silicon Valley giant Google has been fined $1.7 billion by the European Union for the company's third breach of EU antitrust laws in 3 years. The latest fine against the company relates to Google's AdSense advertising service and illegal practices in search advertising brokering to cement its dominant market position, according to European Competition Commissioning Margrethe Vestager. Vestager and her team concluded that third-party websites that sued Google to power their search and advertising features had restrictive clauses in contracts preventing them from hosting ads from rival search engines. In a press release, Vestager stated, "Today the Commission has fined Google €1.49 billion for illegal misuse of its dominant position in the market for the brokering of online search adverts. Google has cemented its dominance in online search adverts and shielded itself from competitive pressure by imposing anti-competitive contractual restrictions on third-party websites. This is illegal under EU antitrust rules. The misconduct lasted over 10 years and denied other companies the possibility to compete on the merits and to innovate, and consumers the benefits of competition." The European Commission reviewed hundreds of contracts dating back to 2006 that included these restrictive clauses. Google alleged that the company phased these exclusivity arrangements out in 2009, replacing them with premium placement clauses that guaranteed the most profitable spaces and search results were given to Google Ads. In 2009, Google also added clauses to their contract requiring that websites ask Google for approval to change how rival ads are displayed, including the size and color of the ads. During an appearance on Huntsville, Alabama radio's The Dale Jackson Show on WVNN, Representative Mo Brooks, RL, called for the aggressive pursuit of those that made false statements that led to the Department of Justice Special Counsel probe led by former FBI Director Robert Mueller. Brooks said crimes committed included obstruction of justice and making false statements to law enforcement, which may have instigated the Mueller probe. On the executive branch side, Attorney General William Barr on his own can be and should be investigating how this got that far, wasting this amount of taxpayer dollars, Brooks said. At some point in this process, there was somebody who made false statements about alleged Russian collusion to someone in the executive branch. That is obstruction of justice, he continued. That is making false statements to law enforcement officers. And those people, whoever those people are, they need to be uncovered, and they need to be prosecuted because they're the ones responsible for this 2-year debacle, this 2-year investigation, this waste of $35 million investigating a non-event." Host Dale Jackson asked Brooks if those individuals would be caught, to which Brooks said he did not know. However, Brooks argued if that is determined, then those individuals should face punishment. "I do not know," he replied. "I certainly hope so, and I hope that this Attorney General will be aggressive and get to the bottom of it because the people who are engaged in these kinds of lies, this kind of wasting of taxpayer money should not get away with it. We should catch them. We should put them in jail to the maximum term allowed by law because we should never allow federal government employees to go rogue, to try to engage in what in effect a coup d'etat against a sitting president of the United States. That is serious, and that needs to be dealt with seriously," President Donald Trump tweeted Friday in celebration of LGBT Pride Month, which begins in June, and repeated his administration's call for the international community to decriminalize homosexuality in countries where it is illegal. Trump has frequently been attacked by LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender activists on the left, particularly for his administration's policies on transgenderism. Trump has barred transgender individuals from serving in the military, and reversed Barack Obama's policies encouraging public schools to provide for transgender bathrooms. His administration also recently insisted on sticking to a definition of sexual discrimination that refers to biological sex. More broadly, however, President Trump has championed gay rights at home and abroad. On the campaign trail in 2016, he was proud of his support from the LGBT community, emerging on stage at a rally in Colorado bearing a pride flag with the words, "LGBTs for Trump." In addition, as Breitbart News recently noted, Trump championed gay voices within the GOP since his campaign, when he backed Peter Thiel at the Republican National Convention. Trump appointed U.S. Ambassador to Germany Richard Grinnell, one of the highest-ranking gay officials. His administration has launched a global campaign to decriminalize homosexuality. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, DCA, indicated that despite a public statement from Special Counsel Robert Mueller chastising President Trump this week, she remains in no hurry to impeach him. On Thursday evening on Jimmy Kimmel Live, she said she was done talking about him, according to the Washington Post. "I'm done with him, in terms of talking about him," she said. "What we want to talk about is, let's build the infrastructure of America and not have him stomp out of the room." Mueller's conference fueled Democrat calls for Trump's impeachment after he suggested during his press conference that only Congress could formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing. Pelosi was vague about whether Congress would seek to impeach Trump. "We've been on that path for a while," she said. "When we do get to where we're going to be ready." While impeachment is popular among Democrats, it remains unpopular for the American electorate, according to a poll published Friday by Harvard Capps Harris poll. The poll shows that a plurality of voters oppose impeaching and removing Trump, despite a strong majority of Democrat voters who favor it. 43% oppose impeachment, including 44% of independents. The poll was taken after Mueller's statement. Impeachment is also highly unlikely. Even if the House voted to begin impeachment, it would hit a wall in the Senate, where Trump enjoys a Republican majority and at least tacit support. Pelosi acknowledged this reality, telling Kimmel that the challenge would be convincing Republicans in the Senate, whom she described as completely in the pocket of Donald Trump. If impeachment fails in the Senate, Trump would feel exonerated, she said. "He knows it's not a good idea to be impeached, but the silver lining for him is then he believes he would be exonerated by the United States Senate, and there's a school of thought that says if the Senate acquits you, why bring charges against him in the private sector when he's no longer president?" Fox News' senior Capitol Hill producer Chad Program discussed the risks of impeachment for Democrats on the Hammer Time radio show. "Impeachment is all-consuming," he said. "They won't be able to focus on much of anything else like healthcare or the economy. Right now, the public temperature is not for impeachment," he added. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, DCA, a close Pelosi ally who is continuing to investigate whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, also seemed lukewarm on impeachment. "I'm not there yet," Schiff said, according to Politico. "Although the president seems to be doing everything in his power to get me there. When we go there with our case, it's gotta be ironclad," Pelosi said. The majority of American voters oppose impeachment, according to the latest Harvard Capps Harris poll survey. Of the 1,295 registered voters polled, only 37% support impeaching and removing President Trump from office. While 43% favor no action, 60% of Democrat voters believe Trump should be impeached and removed altogether. However, independents are not on board. 37% support impeaching and removing the president. 60% of polled Democrats say the president should be impeached and removed, but only 36% of independents are in favor. 20% of voters say Trump should be censured by Congress. Voters were surveyed May 29-30, after Special Counsel Robert Mueller's public remarks on the now-debunked investigation into the Trump campaign and Russia collusion. His brief address appeared to give the left's calls for impeachment a second wind. "If we had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so," Mueller explained. Mueller explained further. "First, The opinion explicitly permits the investigation of a sitting president, because it is important to preserve evidence while memories are fresh and documents available. Among other things, that evidence could be used if there were co-conspirators who could be charged now. And second, the opinion says that the Constitution requires a process other than the criminal justice system to formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing. And beyond department policy, we were guided by principles of fairness. It would be unfair to potentially accuse somebody of a crime when there can be no court resolution of the actual charge. So that was Justice Department policy. Those were the principles under which we operated. And from them, we concluded that we would not reach a determination one way or the other about whether the president committed a crime. That is the office's final position, and we will not comment on any other conclusions or hypotheticals about the president. Those remarks renewed mass calls for impeachment. A number of 2020 candidates are attempting to appeal to their far-left base by calling for impeachment proceedings. Full results will be available this week, as reported by The Hill. Full poll results will be posted online later this week. The Harvard CAPS Harris poll survey is an online sample drawn from the Harris panel and weighted to reflect known demographics. As a representative online sample, it does not report a probability confidence interval.